Yes, welcome to the free consultation podcast show. As usual, the name is Kweku JVAY, and today we're totally excited. Totally excited. I mean, our guest here is a diasporan who also decided to relocate to Africa back in 2020, coming from a Barbados and a Jamaican background, born in the UK, Mr. Errol Samuels. Definitely. Mr. Samuels, I mean, somebody that has a rich experience over 20 years in the telecom industry, working, in the UK, enjoying life as much as possible. What naturally inspired you to just totally leave that sector? Not necessarily leave that sector, but leave that country and really come to Africa.
Okay, so just to be clear, I haven't actually left the sector.
Okay.
I am still very much involved in telecoms. In fact, just to be clear, it's actually voice over internet protocol, or we call it VoIP.
Okay.
Voice over IP.
Okay.
Okay, I still am very much involved in it.
Okay.
My company is still set up in the UK.
Okay.
One of the good things about having such a company is I can work remotely wherever I am in the world. Once I have internet connection, I can still work, I can still eat.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Okay. That's totally awesome.
Yes.
Totally awesome.
Yeah.
Totally awesome. It looks like you worked back in the UK. You worked with British Telecoms,
Yes.
Telefonica,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you still have your own tech firm.
So basically,
Yeah.
initially when I got back to the UK, like anybody else, I was looking for a job.
Okay.
I got a job with British Telecom.
Okay.
I worked there for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then I went, but deep down inside, I always wanted to have my own company.
Wow.
Right. So working with British Telecom was just a means to an end.
Okay.
Okay. Because in my head, I was thinking I need to get my business sorted.
Okay.
So it wasn't easy.
Okay.
It means working long hours.
Okay.
Until I was able to achieve the goal of having my own company.
Okay.
Which in 2014
Okay.
became a reality.
Okay.
So that company is still going now.
Okay. That's totally awesome.
Yes.
Totally awesome. Now, again, let's come back to when you decided, because you grew up in the Barbados. Yes, you actually grew up in the Barbados, both
Yes.
Barbados and UK.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us a little bit of your background in Barbados. I mean, you went to school there, or did you at any point in time work in Barbados though?
Yes, a little bit. Yeah. So I will explain because I actually lived between Barbados and the UK during a 25-year period.
Okay.
All right. So as you mentioned, I was actually born in Manchester, UK.
Okay.
No, I do not support Manchester United. I do not support a team called the Red Devils. Okay.
I felt the same way.
I was just about to ask you because you definitely look like a Manchester United fan.
Why did you say that?
I mean, there's a look about and there's a look and sound about Manchester
You have
United
to
people. Man.
describe to the people what they
Nah, the people know. I mean, the people know. Look, I
don't even
hate.
know.
I dislike Manchester United because of the fans. I feel like the team is totally awesome. Big ups to coaches like Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, I feel like he did a really great job. But the fans are really annoying. Like they make it feel like they own the entire. They're the biggest football club in the world, And there's the likes of Real Madrid. There's definitely Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea. But anyways, so back to you. You.
So I was born in Manchester, UK, to a Barbadian mother and a Jamaican father.
Oh,
Yes.
powerful background, man.
Yes. So my mother returned to Barbados back in 1972. I was almost 5 at the time.
Okay.
So basically, I started school in Barbados,
Okay.
and just before the final school year, I went back to England.
Okay.
So I kind of finished my secondary school
In Barbados.
in England.
In England. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I went to college in England as well.
Okay.
Stockport College of Technology.
Okay.
And then after that, I went back to Barbados for another 14 years.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So returning to, that's where I worked.
Okay.
I did work for a bit over there. In that
What
14
industry
years.
were you in there in Barbados?
I actually worked at one of the biggest office supplies companies there, but that's where I actually got. Working in the office equipment, there was lots of exposure to IT
Okay.
and a bit of development and stuff. Small programs I would write for different departments and so on.
Oh,
But then it's only when I came back to the UK in 2000 that I would say I got a lot more exposure.
Okay.
Got exposure to voice over IP and so on.
Okay.
So I work with BT. I work with Telefonica, which was O2 at the time.
Okay.
It was called O2.
Okay.
So then, obviously, I branched off into my own business.
Okay.
In the years, the early 2000s.
Okay.
I was doing little bits of freelance work for people as well.
Okay.
I was working for BT. That's all the stepping stones of opening my own business. So I was doing some freelance work in the IT field, in the VoIP field. And then eventually, I set up a company in 2014. Which is still
really that's amazing. That's amazing. So I mean, basically, let me jump into something here. You did mention that, because I'm trying to understand. Definitely, you're living in the UK. You're looking at, relocation. Initially, you coming from a Barbados background, I would automatically assume that is the first place where you would want to, start life.
Especially considering Barbados is
Exactly.
quite well developmentally. The economic indicators, political indicators and all that, the leadership. So that's an interesting choice.
Why?
The problem is, when you're in Barbados, you drink too much rum. That's a problem, man. But on a serious note, I really didn't want to be a big fish in a small pond. I wanted to be a normal sized fish in a bigger pond. I have with room to grow. So I'm just using that. I wanted to be back here in Africa, the land of my ancestors. Which is really Ghana and Nigeria. Mainly. I mean, there's little bits of Sierra Leone and other places in there, Kenya. But for sure, for the most part, it was nice to be back in the land of my ancestors. And arriving here in Ghana, I really felt at home. The music, the food. Everybody knows about Jamaica. Everybody loves reggae music. That was home for me. Whereas, I don't know if I mentioned previously that when we went to Africa in 2020, it was because of Wadamaya.
Yes, exactly.
We spent.
Exactly.
We were meant to be there for 2 weeks, over Christmas holiday, and it ended up being 8 months, 8.5 months.
Ooh, in Rwanda. I mean, tell us the experience there, because again, you're in Africa. I'm still trying to figure out what made you still decide to come to Ghana, because you're in Africa. Rwanda is actually quite you're doing really quite well. Wudamaya actually did, big ups to Wudamaya.
He's a legend. He's definitely a legend.
I mean,
for sure.
Big ups to
He's done a
Wudamaya.
lot of work.
Big ups.
Even I shed a little tear when I realized that he spent, when he was in the Caribbean. I thought, oh, that was good to see Wadamaya in the Caribbean, getting the experience, and seeing that the both communities are very similar in many ways. Culture, food. There's a lot of culture from Africa that we still have in the Caribbean.
I'm telling you.
Like for instance, we have some dishes in the Caribbean. We have a dish called kuku, right? It looks similar to fufu, but we serve it with the yellow maize and the okra inside of it. And then we have the sauce, just like how you have your light soup or whatever.
Oh, wow.
We have the sauce around it. We call it kuku.
Kuku. So we say fufu, and you people say cook.
Yeah. But although what I might say that it's closer to banku. We have something we call konki. Over there, made with the banana, with the banana leaves and everything. You have you make it like a cylinder. Shape. Ours is flat.
Okay.
Nanolese. I think it's made with what was it? Pumpkin and pumpkin and something else, coconut.
Okay.
We serve that in November around Independence Day.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We call it konki. You call it. We have something similar called
Is it kinky?
kenke.
Oh.
We have sorrel and ginger.
Okay.
It's a Christmas drink because
Okay.
sorrel is not available all year round like in Ghana.
Okay.
You call it subalu.
Oh.
So
Okay.
there's
Okay.
lots of
Okay.
things that
Oh.
we make
Wow.
that are
Wow.
similar.
Wow.
But we have different names, I guess maybe because of the English influence.
I know. I know, right?
They took away most of our culture. So, the bits that people remember, maybe they call it something slightly different.
I think definitely one of the people that would look at interviewing Zion Food, big ups, big ups. So he actually is in Canada, and he actually he's been able to combine the African food with the Caribbean food. So I mean, in Canada, it looks like he's making a very, very good name with the combination of the local food from Ghana with the Caribbean. Apparently, he had the opportunity to work with some Caribbeans, so he's really merged it together, and he's doing totally amazingly well. So even you just hitting on this and making us aware of the similarities, it really speaks a lot about how close the cultures are, And again, I'll definitely use this opportunity to big up Wodemaya. I mean, we've had the opportunity to meet so many diasporans who have been inspired by what he's doing. I mean, big ups with him. I would definitely like to meet you and have you on our show. But big ups. But again, why Ghana?
Right. So going back to Rwanda, we were living there. As many people know, it's a former French colony or Belgian colony.
Okay.
Still French. Anyway. So we had problems with language barrier,
Okay.
So my wife, in particular, was having difficulty making female friends.
Okay.
Most of the men, because they're educated, they spoke English to a point.
Okay.
But a lot of the women, the traditional African way of life, women stay at home, and so they don't get a lot of them, I mean, it's changing now, but a lot of them don't get the education that the men get, or the opportunities that, I should say opportunity, because a lot of women are educated. In fact, in Rwanda, a lot of the women are the bank managers. Because back in the days of the genocide, a lot of the men obviously got killed out, they were fighting, whatever. So a lot of women survived. And these women are more or less, I would say the women are running the country in Rwanda. Yeah. Most of the banks I've been into, the managers were women.
So the women control all the money.
Well, like for instance, in the parliament in Rwanda, I think there's a very high percentage of women in parliament. I think it's 30-something%. And the only other country where that exists is in, I think, Chile, right? So a very high percentage of parliament. I mean, in women in parliament. I don't even know what the percentage of women in Ghana's parliament is. Is it 10%? I don't know. I have no idea.
Very true, though. Very.
Did you get a chance to look into the business climate while you were there a little bit?
Well, setting up a business in Rwanda is a breeze compared to Ghana. Don't shoot me.
Because we were actually talking about it. We were having a discussion.
I was able to go onto the equivalent of the Register General Department online in Rwanda. Set up my business online. No payment to anybody, anywhere. And within 6 hours, I had my incorporation certificate by email and my VAT certificate by email. In 6 hours, I kid you not.
In Rwanda?
Yeah, 6 hours.
That's faster than any country I've ever heard of.
Even faster than the UK.
It's faster than UK, faster than US, faster than Estonia had 24 hours, and I was surprised. 6 hours is the fastest.
Well, that's what it
That's
said.
crazy.
It said 24 hours, but I actually got it within 6 hours.
Because could you?
It's fantastic.
Without a penny.
Because definitely,
No registration fee.
No money paid to anybody.
no,
Okay, that I've never heard
in
of.
Africa.
In Rwanda, yeah.
In Rwanda.
I mean-
shout out to Paul Kagame.
No, because I remember you were
shout
really.
out to
I remember sometime you were really. You really hinted on. Probably we looking at going there. What even naturally triggered your attention to Rwanda though?
Well, everybody's been hearing about Rwanda for several years now. It's really a miracle. it's a huge turnaround story because you know they had the genocide, one of the worst genocides in history.
Okay.
I mean, when you look at the populations of people killed, and when you have an outright genocide, the amount of split, the amount of infighting, the amount of lack of economic activity, the amount of people who had a business who are
Exactly.
gone now,
Exactly.
people who have fled.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a mess. You've torn the country into two pieces and shaken it up. But for Kagame to come in, and I think the number one thing he has done well is clamp down on corruption.
Okay.
You can't rebuild a country when you're sucking the resources out to European banks, because we know that's where the money goes, or to Dubai, right? As we saw in the Al Jazeera documentary, that a lot of African countries are sending the money in, to Dubai.
Definitely.
And the next thing I think that he did very well was create certain systems as he described.
Okay.
Right. And I think you can see it in, I mean, just the cleanliness of it. I haven't been to Rwanda yet. Unfortunately, I was supposed to go last year. I didn't get to go, but
okay.
I really do want to go. But I think Ghana sometimes has to look at the rest of Africa and come down a little bit with pride and say, hey, sure, we were the first to have independence. We had Nkrumah. We did so much for the independence movement. But where are we 60 years later? Have other people gone past us? And what can we learn from those examples? And if we don't learn, that gulf is going to get greater, right? So.
Okay, so I mean, you still made the move. I mean, as you said, the language was definitely a barrier.
Yes.
Yeah, but it looked like you did register a business in Rwanda.
Yeah.
Is it still? Are you still?
No, because obviously, since we left, we decided to leave back in August 21.
Okay.
So I didn't really have a chance because my kind of business, I work remotely with most companies. I don't need an office. In Rwanda, they don't recognize home businesses.
Yes.
Okay.
That's one con about doing business in Rwanda. They expect you to have an office.
Oh wow.
Yes. Which not every business requires an office.
Very true.
I've been working from home for over 10 years.
Okay.
I never had to bring anybody to the house in fact, most of my customers are outside of Ghana. In fact, I would say 99%, bar one customer, they're outside of Ghana.
Okay.
So I don't need to get on plane, travel, or have any meetings in an office. So I don't require an office.
Okay.
And most of my team, we all work remotely. I have one guy in Brazil, one person in India. So we don't need. We all work from home.
So basically, as you said, you relocated and came to Ghana.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is where we talk about Ghana. All right. From business environment culture. I mean, for naturally a diasporan like yourself, with no background, no Ghanaian background, definitely no Ghanaian background, to take a risk and come and do business.
Yes.
From your experience right now, what are the pros and cons of actually doing business?
I actually made a few notes regarding.
That it's serious, man. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Hey, Ghana, we need to take a big listen to this, man.
Okay, basically, one of the many issues that I have noticed here in Ghana. I'm not going to bother with the notes. Forget the notes. Okay. All right.
From the heart.
Number one, there is virtually zero customer service in Ghana. The next thing I notice is going back to the employers, they pay their staff the bare minimum that they're required to pay. Now, how is it then that you want to have productivity, you want to have good sales, you want your customers to be friendly with your staff to be friendly with your customers, but they're hungry because they're not getting enough money to buy something to eat, transport, They've got all these worries on the job.
Yeah.
Right? But how can somebody sleep comfortable at night paying somebody 700 CDs in a month? I mean, I have guys that work for me in on my estate. They're not directly working for me. I mean, one of the guys come and do some chores at the house. Right? He works maybe 2-3 days, not full days, a few hours a day for 3 days a week. Right? And he also helps with security on the estate.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And when he wanted to renew his tenancy, he didn't have enough money because he had to pay 500 CDs a month, 6,000 CDs that he did not have, right? So me, along with some other people, we came up with that money for him to make sure that he had somewhere to sleep. Because if he doesn't have somewhere to live and he's homeless or he doesn't have anything to eat, that can compromise. That makes him vulnerable to bribes. It makes him vulnerable. You know, somebody can say, "Oh, I'll give you this 200 CD. Let me in. Let me go. You know, and rob somebody's house."
For those watching from abroad, 700 cities is about $45 to $50 a month. So it's bare bones.
Exactly
At the
$50
current,
a month.
yeah, at the
the
current exchange.
And that basically both UK and America, that is way below.
Well,
That
that's
is-
not even a day's worth of pay that you can give
Yeah,
somebody.
but I mean, that is something we'll not get up my bed for. I'm not being boastful or anything like that, but I would not get up my bed for that. For 1 hour.
because you know
I'm serious.
me being a Ghanaian on this show right now, I mean generally 700 Ghana cedis. Funny enough, a degree is like a starting point. A degree holder, you know, generally is like a starting point. Even and it's something where we're so used to. We're so used to getting paid that kind. So even an SHS graduate, when you're paying 700 cedis, would feel like that is an okay pay because that is what we're used to, unfortunately. But and this is something that we need to give props to, especially the diasporans coming in, to let a lot of Ghanaian entrepreneurs realize that we're really underpaid, and it's really, if you sit down, is it one of the reasons why we are so corrupt and why it's like we're always finding the fastest means to make money? Is this thing really a serious issue that is causing most Ghanaians to just have that corrupt mindset like that?
Well, it's living in. I see it as they're living in surviving mode, right? You gotta survive. I mean, gosh, you go to they can't even think about going to somewhere like Palace to shop or what's the other one, Malcolm.
Yeah,
shop,
yeah,
right?
very true.
So it's just a survival. They gotta top up the salary somehow, and that's why a concern for us as diasporans that if you're underpaying your security, you have security working for 12 hours a day, and at the end of the month you're giving them 700 CDs, it leaves them vulnerable.
Okay.
So, for example, I came from the UK. To be a police officer in the UK, they do a credit check on you. Because if you're found to be heavily in debt, for example, it makes you vulnerable to bribes. Right? So they're making sure that when they employ you as a police officer, that there's no debt that will cause you to be
Easily compromised.
Easy target to accept bribes. And that's, I mean, bribing in England is illegal anyway, right? Because that is a direct ticket straight to prison. Bribe.
Oh, for real?
Over here, I see it. It's blatant. It's blatant.
It's like it's
And
a
this is
language,
from the
man.
top to the bottom. It's blatant bribe, and it's like accepted in society.
Wow. I think that's one of the main reasons where, from our analysis, from what we would, especially when we realized that we kickstarted with complete housing, we realized that income is a really big issue because a lot of people are not making enough money to even, go ahead to afford some of these things. So, but is it due to the fact that, let's talk about the Ghanaian businesses. I mean, one of the things where it's a big issue is the fact that we are not being scalable enough to even have enough funds to take care of our employees. like that. What do you think, as Ghanaians, especially you coming from a well-developed world, what do you think we're not doing right? Why are businesses
Well,
not scaling up like
like I
that?
mentioned earlier, one of the biggest issues is customer service. I find that in every sector here in Ghana. Very few companies have any good customer service, or some of them that do have, they're over the top. So there needs to be a balance, right? There's either none at all or too much.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
But for the most part,
compensation,
is zero customer service. And not to mention some of the business owners, you make suggestions to them, and it's like, oh, these diaspora state, they can come here and tell us what to do. But we come in here with a wealth of experience that the employer might or might not have. Okay, we are sharing ideas. I mean, even when I met you guys the first time, I saw your property. I gave you guys a few tips,
Very true.
right? And
Very
I think
true.
you took it on board.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very true.
you didn't notice it. It's something that was overlooked. But because I came with a different eye, I was able to point out a few things to you, and you
Very
guys
true.
took it on board. And I
Very
appreciate
true.
that.
Okay, so Mr. Samuels, we were talking about the business environment in Ghana, and you touched just briefly on wages. How do you think that the low wages paid by some of the bigger companies here, like KFC and Pizza Hut and Palace Mall, how do you think that affects the climate, the culture, and even the overall marketplace, the buying power of Ghanaians? And what do you think it'll take for that to change?
All right. So the first thing I would say is the government that we have to blame, setting a minimum wage of 14, let's say 15 cedis a day. I mean, nobody can live on that.
Yeah,
Right? You go some places,
that's $1 a day for those.
the $1 a day.
Okay.
You know, I mean, how can you survive on that?
Yeah, $1 a
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Right now, if you buy 10 CDs in tomatoes, you're gonna get 3.
Yeah, that's true.
So 10. What do you have to? The other 5 CDs. What do? You can buy a bottle of black water. So you can have some tomato juice or something, for dinner. So I mean, it's a serious issue here. I don't understand how the government can set a minimum wage of 15 CDs a day, one day. I mean, in the UK, the minimum wage, I know I'm comparing apples to oranges, but still, in the UK, the minimum wage, I believe now, is £8.50. This is the minimum, maybe somebody cleaning
Per hour.
per hour.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So compare that to per day. And what is a day in Ghana in terms of work?
15
So that's like
CDs.
160
It's
CDs, 170 CDs for a
14.88
day.
or something like
What
that,
I'm
CDs.
saying is, if you're setting a per day minimum wage, how many hours are in that day?
That's 8 hours.
Is it 8 hours?
Yeah.
Well, they don't specify
It's-
because
okay,
for
okay,
instance,
okay.
security guards, many of them work for 12 hours,
Wow.
right? And at the end of the month, they're getting, let's say, 700 CDs. Some of them.
I mean, to also ask, is it one of the reasons why a lot of Ghanaians right now are really leaving the country? I mean, because it's like they don't see the way forward. Because I mean, I know a friend of mine who is a nurse right now, and I think she gets paid £10 an hour, and it's a big difference. Her lifestyle has totally changed. I mean, so as Ghanaians, I mean, if we don't do something about this, we're gonna keep on losing such people to the outside world, and it's definitely gonna affect the development of this country.
Yeah. So I'll give an example. Okay. We have some good physicians, doctors, nurses in Ghana, Nigeria, in Africa. We have some good physicians. So now somebody said that there are more Ghanaian doctors in New York than there are in Ghana.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh my
know?
God.
So you're having what should I say? We call it a flight of skills.
Brain drain.
Brain drain.
Yeah.
Yes. Going outside of the continent. It's not that the people are not educated. They are educated, but there is no provision for them to have decent standard of living, right? So, like I said, we got to blame the government for this, right? I mean, I don't know why these ministers in parliament could set this minimum wage of 15 CDs. I don't understand, because they're thinking that maybe the businesses are going to suffer if they pay, but they're going to make profit, because it means that the workers, you're going to get more productivity. You know, they're going to be loyal. You pay them a decent wage, right? Right now, you're leaving your workforce open to bribery, corruption, which is the problem that we have here in Ghana. I'm sorry. I'm just being straight. You know, I'm from outside. I don't have to worry about offending anybody. I like to be straight. I know Ghanaians will not say anything because they're scared of offending people and so on. But no, I'm going to give you straight, because that's the only way that we can see improvement. You know, somebody's got to hear that if you treat your workers right, if you pay them well, you look after your workers, they look after you. It's as simple as that. It's you know.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to get into telecoms.
Sure.
That being your background for like over 20 years. So there's a lot of issues with telecommunications in Ghana in terms of uptime, reliability, even the cost of people paying for data packages, very limited, unlimited data options. So you're constantly paying for these packages. Speed, you know, sometimes you get good speed. In some areas, you get nothing. In some areas, don't even have access at all. Once you go into certain areas, you're cut off. So, you know, based off your experience, how would you approach improving the state of telecommunications in Ghana?
All right. So in Ghana here, let's start with the mobile first, because that's where we get the most problems at the moment. You'll be on the phone talking for a few minutes, and then the phone just drops. So straight away, that tells me that the network capacity is oversubscribed, right? There's not enough capacity. And it's just a case of they're upgrading their infrastructure. Obviously, it's cost, and their bottom line is having profit for their shareholders.
Okay.
So it seems that the quality of service takes a back seat, you know, over the profit for the shareholders. So, and then there is you have the big three. Well, I don't know, big three. You have your MTN, your
Telecel, and of course
Vodafone,
okay.
and then you have Airtel. Those like
Airtel, Tigo,
big three ones. Maybe there's not enough competition as well, right? But the problem is, to be able to compete with the gorilla of MTN, you know, you need a massive player to come in here to really compete. So I guess in a sense, you can say that MTN has a monopoly.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've worked in the telecom industry. I've worked with Airtel, Tigo. I've worked with Vodafone. I worked with the only company that I didn't work is MTN. Not yet. But one thing I'll tell you for sure is it's a very. I mean, it's diabolical in there. I mean, the kind of things that these telecom industries do to actually own the industry is very funny, and it's, you had the likes of a very big guru like Glow from Nigeria coming into Ghana, and Glow were not able to survive because some of these telcos have some serious monopoly, and they try as much as possible that they are industry influencers before anybody is looking at coming in. If they have to do whatever is really needed to prevent that, they will. So it's such a way that that's the issue, Kojo. You sit down, you think about it as you're really trying to bring change, yet it looks like the people who are supposed to help bring the change are not doing anything and everything possible to effect that change. So ask yourself, what can you do, especially as a regular person like Mr. Errol, who has a background and who wants to really do something positive, especially it ties his hands, and the next minute he just gives up and just forgets about it.
So does it come to the government's responsibility to set standards, to set service level agreements to set mandates in terms of rollouts? Does it come back to them, since they're not necessarily beholden to the shareholder? They should be beholden to the Ghanaian people, ideally.
Well, there are laws in Ghana. The parliament makes the laws. In many cases, then there's nobody to enforce these laws.
There's no level of accountability.
The bodies that are there to enforce the laws, they're not doing what they're supposed to do because of they might have some political connections inside of the company, or whatever. So there's all that too. Don't fool yourself.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that there's political connections and all that involved. So
Yeah.
when you want to make change, it's almost impossible.
I mean, then I'll ask this question. How bad is the corruptional system, especially, in the eyes of a diasporan? How bad is it? I mean, is it really adversely affecting the image of Ghana as a whole?
It is, but I don't even refer to it as corruption anymore. I refer to it now as expedited fee. You want your expedite fee, you want fast track. You want to pay a little money. So that's why I call it now.
That's what you have a nice way of calling. But on a real, how is it affecting, especially the diasporans who are, they're not used to that kind of culture? How is it? I mean, because most of them really came in to do business. Most of them have stopped their businesses. They're relocating back. What makes? I mean, it's another question to another question. How are you even surviving? How are you, it looks like you don't care about whatever it is. You're flourishing. Your business is doing quite good so far. But especially when you come into contact with other diasporans, what are they saying about Ghana?
Oh, even I say it too. Yeah, there's too much corruption here. And it's not even behind the scenes. There's corruption in every country in the world. Even the UK has corruption.
Okay.
Even America has corruption.
Okay.
But it's behind the scenes. Here, it's in your face. Nobody hides. Nobody hides the corruption. On the roadside, you see it. You get stopped. And that's another thing, goes back to wages. Policeman begging for, have you got anything for me? Can I, have you got any water? I say, yeah, here's a bottle of Belacqua. I know what he means. When you have the water. But I just, playing along the game.
Exactly.
Here's a bottle of Belacqua.
And it's the proportionality too, right? Like, yeah, there's major corruption in the United States.
Yeah.
But when you have a GDP of 25 to 30 trillion, whatever
exactly.
it may be.
I mean,
and
you're allowed to.
If the government steals 10 billion, but if you steal 10 billion in Ghana, you just stole 1/6 of GDP.
Yes.
You just completely destroyed the budget,
man.
right? So it's the proportionality. When you hear things like on the Al Jazeera documentary, $100 million being laundered through one route during this administration. Laundered through gold, and then they exchange it in Dubai and put it in banks there. 100 million in America is negligible, quite frankly. You can shove that into a bill and people probably might not even notice. But here,
what's also laughable, you've got, I don't know if you remember the story of the sanitation minister. I'm not calling any names, don't sue me. They found so many, I'm not even going to mention the exact amount of million, but it was a lot of million in foreign exchange in their possession, in their house. And that's just the sanitation minister who is at the bottom of the pecking order. So you can imagine the other high-profile ministers. You're talking hundreds, millions. They probably have. But that's a story for another day.
And I mean, I guess along the same vein, looking at the Ministry of Communications, digitalization. Another thing that's, to me, glaring is that unqualified people are holding very high offices. The Minister of Communications and Digitalization is a lawyer. No tech training or background to speak of. But she's giving out these massive contracts. The 5G rollout, there's another contract where they're paying approximately $1.5 million a month to monitor mobile money transactions. Just to monitor. You see, I also come from a tech background. I come from a cybersecurity background, so I know the contracts. That
$1.5 million
I would take
month.
that job for $100,000.
I
So
said
that's
the
amount of
same
money.
exact money.
That's exactly the
I
same
said the
thing.
same price.
I work 7 days a week.
So
I said the same price.
So where is this? Where is this coming from? Is this due to the fact that okay,
Well, you
a lot of Ghanaians are really not literate in that
it's
kind
not
of
about
field,
literate. It's
or
not about literate. We have intelligent people, but I mean, when I was looking in the investigation, you have a minister who doesn't know. I mean, I know how much it costs to monitor a network.
Okay.
Because that's what I used to do.
But it's
Okay.
all automated anyway.
Well, yeah, you still need
Eyes.
analysts you need engineers
Yeah.
and some analysts, but you don't need that many.
Yeah, exactly.
I looking at it. Okay, you have 3 major telecoms. Maybe let's expand it to say 5 telecoms. They're already collecting a lot of the information themselves. All you're needing to do is tap it or have them report it. You review the report. Look, you give me 2 engineers, 2 analysts, and if you're talking Ghanaian salaries, how are we getting up to $1.5 million a month? Where is the money
You won't
going?
even pay them between them $5,000.
I mean, it comes back. It comes back to how deep the corruptional system has affected. Because you're seeing the police do this each and every single time. I mean, I'm a Ghanaian. I grew up in Ghana. That's what we saw. We saw that level of corruption in such a way that it's so normalized that even if you're not doing it and you're trying to be sane, I mean, could you look at the experience? You and I know that we tried getting quotations from Ghanaian contractors to do certain kind of jobs for us. Eventually, look at some of the pricing. It was totally mind blowing. So you do understand that it's so deep that we don't even realize when we're even just being corrupt.
Well, yeah, I mean, that particular issue, I would just say it's that goes back to sort of the survival mode aspect. You might not get that many jobs per year, so when somebody comes around, you might try to gouge them.
How's that experience with you, Mr. Errol?
It's every day. It's daily. In fact, from the time they see me, they see, oh, it's an Bruni. You know that I just want to make a point here to Ghanaians, right? When you call a diasporan and a Bruni, it's very offensive. It's actually the equivalent of somebody calling you Jimmy Foe.
What's Jimmy Foe? Give us a background. What's Jimmy Foe? We don't know.
You're a Ghanaian.
I mean, help me out. I don't.
Jimmy Foe is that you're telling somebody that they're the stupidest of the
Jimmy Four. Okay,
Yeah.
Jimmy Four. Yeah, so Jimmy Four is like you're a fool.
Yeah.
Oh, they're saying like you're green.
Exactly.
No,
Or like you're a
not that
fool.
nice. That's nice.
Nice.
Like you're a fool. You're stupid.
Yeah.
Excuse our
Yeah.
language here, but
Yeah.
wow.
So basically, when you call us a Bruni, because if you remember J.J. Rollins, Papa J, I tell the police officers he's my uncle.
You do. I mean, you do have some resemblance, though.
Yeah. Use what you
But
can use.
there's Ghanaians all over with my complexion. So some people call me a Bruni or a white man, and that's very offensive. Because first of all, I don't have blue eyes and I don't have straight hair. I am more African than anything.
I totally get that though. But to ask this, I mean, we've been able to attract diasporans into the country. We've been able to do. I mean, this particular government, they were able to, make Ghana very attractive for the diasporans to really move in.
Yeah.
Do you think Ghanaians were ready to accept the diasporans?
I don't think that the government was ready. The program that they put on for us to come back is nice to say welcome back and everything, but there's nothing put on for us to welcome us back. No official policy in place. For example, if I go to Shire Hills now to see, just to see the place, they'll say, let's use Cape Coast Castle. Okay. Right? We go to Cape Coast Castle. The Cape Coast Castle is set there as a historical place for us to go and diasporans to go and see what our ancestors went through. We have to pay. We are diasporans and we have to pay like a foreigner. So they treat us like a foreigner. I mean, I would go as far as saying that Cape Coast should be free for us to go and see. But not that we don't want to pay, but you should be charging us the same price as local Ghanaian. If I live here for 3 years, why are you still treating me as a foreigner? I'm living here, I'm working here, I'm employing people. So in a sense, I should have the same privilege as a Ghanaian to go to Cape Coast or go to Shire Hills, you know, and pay the same price. I could understand if my mom comes in from Barbados, which she has, she's been to Ghana, you know, yes.
But you have residency.
I have residency.
You have
yes,
residency, so therefore,
yeah. So, but the treat us like foreigners too. Oh, are you Ghanaian? Oh, your Ghana card said you're a non-citizen, so you got to pay the foreigner price, which is not fair to us. So nothing has been put in place for us, even in terms of setting up a business.
Tell us about that.
Oh, that's another.
I'm hearing some ridiculous prices,
so
man. $250,000, $500,000.
Well, $500,000 to set up a company in Ghana as a wholly owned foreigner. I can
Wow.
in the USA or the UK for less than $100.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Oh my
I only
God.
need one director. I don't need no UK person. And well, I'm a citizen of UK, but I don't.
You don't need an American. If
I
you
don't
want to
need
do-
no American to be given 10% of my shares that I don't
Yeah.
even know or don't even trust. Because in all due respect, you know, to give somebody 10% of shares,
That's a lot.
Some sort of trust.
Yeah,
You
true.
can't just come off a plane, set up a company, and you need a Ghanaian. Suppose you don't know a Ghanaian. Who are you going to give the 10% shares to? Right?
Makes sense.
And if you don't have a Ghanaian, you gotta find $500,000 dollars to satisfy GIPC.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a joke.
Yeah.
In America, you see the politicians when they're campaigning. What do they campaign about? They say that the small and the medium-sized businesses are the ones that drive the economy.
That's true.
But it looks like the government here is just looking for big businesses. The big businesses don't drive the economy. They're the ones that are going to take the money out and ship it to some other country, you know, your Europe or wherever. They're going to make their money. For example, your Bolt, your Uber, all those foreign companies, they will make their money and they will send the money outside of Ghana. We diasporans, we coming here, we're not shipping our money anywhere. It's here. It's staying here.
You see, I don't know if the Ghanaian government has understood the concept of friction in business. Okay. One of the biggest companies in the world, some of the biggest companies in the world charge you nothing to use their service.
Okay.
Most of us have never paid to use Facebook,
Okay.
Google. Grew up, even now, Windows, you can get it for free.
Okay.
These are multi-trillion-dollar companies whose value is 100x the Ghanaian GDP. You pay. How does that work? Okay, the more friction you create to getting in through the door, the more difficult it is for that person to come into the system and become part of the revenue generation system. You don't pay any money to use Facebook, right? So you go on, you create your account for free. But that data that you're generating is what Facebook can sell to advertisers. The Ghanaian government hasn't caught on yet. Let the people come in for next to nothing. What are they going to do next? They're going to spend money in your businesses, in the stores. They're going to buy real estate. Then when they start their business, okay, they started with $3,000. $3,000 is still 45,000 cities.
Exactly.
That you can still set up a little shop, you know, especially in a rural area, right? Let people come in. Let's say now you have 1,000 people, because how many people have $200,000? Less than 2 to 5% of even the American population can pull out $200K. But you can have thousands and thousands of people that can bring 2,000, 3,000. So when you set up this massive barrier and you make the windows small, you're destroying the opportunity that could come from all the people that could come in on a little level, start. Because here's the other thing. You're talking about people coming from a developed country where they can start a business for $50 in the state of Missouri, right? To come to an undeveloped country with not even 10% of the services and infrastructure, and plop down 200K off bat. Why don't you let people taste the food before you ask them to buy the restaurant?
Doesn't make sense.
I mean,
it doesn't make sense. And we are, it's
madness.
crazy how, you know, because I don't think we understand how influential the year of return really did for this country. We have no idea. I mean, personally, I have I have benefited from it because, you know, it's not just even about the money, but it's even having the opportunity to meet the likes of you guys, you know, the diasporans, and the level of education and intellectuality that, you know, they're given to you is so, you can't pay for that. And it's such a way that I find it quite so disturbing that we are missing that level of having access to that intellectuality by driving them away with what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. Most of them are going back because they can't. Already there's attitude even with the regular Ghanaian, even in relation to how they relate with the diasporans, because I mean, here's a case where most diasporans felt like they're at home, but they're being treated in such a way and they're being taken advantage of. So even that, and plus, money-wise from the top officials is being, yo, this is just so unattractive that I feel like Ghana, we're losing that opportunity and we're making these people go elsewhere. Yeah. And by the time we realize it's going to be too late for us.
Other countries are also catching on to the success of the year of return of Ghana and trying to do something similar. So I heard about Burkina Faso. I heard that,
yeah, I've been hearing about Burkina Faso.
Over there for diasporans. So if they don't be careful, there'll be a flight of diasporans over to Burkina Faso.
Because they've been mentioning, I've been hearing Burkina Faso a lot recently. Like when you're talking to most of them, it's like, yeah, we're looking at going to Burkina Faso, and that's, bro, that's funds that's just going, man.
It's unimaginable to Ghanaians because there was a time where you don't even consider Burkina Faso as compared to Ghana. That's the difference that leadership makes. All of this is because of Ibrahim Traore. All of this. All right. So, Mr. Samuels, one thing we have in common is a tech background. You're more networking, I'm more security, but, you know, it goes hand in hand. Coming into a new country, you decided, similarly to myself, to venture into the field of construction and real estate. What made you take that leap of faith?
Right. So last year, when we, just a few months, maybe 3 months before our current rental agreement was due for renewal, we wanted to find somewhere to rent. And we spent 3 months going up and down, you know, in the location where we wanted, you know, that's like between Oyarifa and as far as Akupam in the eastern region. Looking for somewhere to live. To be closer, you know, to the site where we wanted to build our house, because that was the plan. We had some land and we wanted to build our house in the eastern region, so we wanted to be closer to it. And then obviously the problem of schools and so on for the kids. So we were looking, and every house that we went into, we noticed that there was problems with damp, or the house was not clean. So basically, they'll show you a house, but the house is dirty. You know, in America or even in Europe, they will stage the house. I'm not saying that for the person or the landlord to go and invest in furniture to stage the house. But I'm saying at least clean the house. You know, clean the windows. Clean the floor. You know, clean the bathroom, toilets. But they just, it's like, as you see it, is what you get. And that is really a put off. Because diasporans, we're not used to that. You lived in America, you know that the house will be clean. When you go, if it needs painting, they'll paint it. But now they'll say, oh, well, you rent the house, you paint it yourself. But then the other problem is, a big problem too, is damp. Almost every house we went into, we can see there's a damp problem. So obviously when the house was being constructed, the artisans did not take care or any preventative measures for the damp, right? So you can see all the stains on the wall, you can see the mold on the wall, so you know straight away before you even enter, there's a damp problem. Right? So and then obviously the workmanship and so on and so forth. So and after 3 months and we didn't find anywhere suitable for us, we decided, you know what, diasporans coming over here are going to have help finding houses to live in. We need to do something. So me and my sister, you know, we decided, because she was also looking. She was looking for houses. You know, me and my wife, we were also looking for houses. And we decided, look, it's not going to work. Let's just stay where we are, because fortunately the house where we are is good. Right? Don't mind that the landlord increased double the rent. After I spent a lot of money fixing up the house, they doubled the rent. So when we renew in October now, this October coming, the rent will be doubled.
Wow. Even though you actually.
We spent a lot of money. There's lots of problems in the house. I think the landlord got fed up with us calling. We just decided to fix even the kitchen. We replaced kitchen, all sorts in the house, bathroom. You know, we fixed any problems. We don't bother calling them anymore because there's always some excuse. We decided we will stick it out for another year. In the meantime, we decided to start this property company because we want to build quality houses.
Okay.
Well, quality affordable houses for our diasporan brothers and sisters when they come over here.
Okay.
We, a lot of people think that they can just come to Ghana and say, "Oh, I can build a house myself and live in Canada or live in the UK or live in America." That's almost impossible. If you only got 2 weeks a year holiday to come, what can you do? What can you supervise?
That's true.
So they need to have somebody like us, or yourselves to manage the bill. Make sure that everything is above board and everything. For them. Yeah. So it's not easy being a diasporan and coming to Ghana to build a house. So we want to provide that service to diasporans. Right? We want to be able to say, okay, you want this house, we can build it for you. This will be the cost. This will be the fee. Right? We will send you maybe even webcam footage or something that you can see what's going on with the house. But we will make sure that we watch the build, see what the artists are doing, make sure that they building, properly and not cutting corners, and that happens a lot. If you're not here to supervise your project, they're gonna cut corners. When they should be using 16 mm steel, they'll be using 12 or 10. True. You don't want to be in a house and the house collapses on you.
Yeah.
Right?
So your first neighborhood is in the eastern region. Talk to us about that location. What made you pick there, and what are the upsides to that?
Originally, we had 1 acre of land for ourselves that we were going to build our house on.
Okay.
And then my friend who is a neighbor, she has an acre. So we were both going to build our houses on that land. I actually found out about the land through my friend, right? And she's from OK Africa, right? That's another company that we work. We're collaborating on the project. The project is called Mariah Hills. So she has 1 acre there, and then we have another 2 acres, just more or less in the same vicinity. So it's going to come together and make one gated community, initially 4.5 acres.
Okay.
And we want to build affordable houses. Again, our builder, we had long conversations, Zoom meetings, all sorts with the builder. We went on site to see the work that they're doing. We're happy. We chose interlocking blocks for the build because, we know earthquake resistant, it's cool and so on. But that's more upmarket house, not necessarily top end, but middle of the road. Right? But then I have another site which is about 6 acres, where we're looking to do some more affordable houses. Right? Because obviously the masses in Ghana, even many diasporans, they come here. Myself, as an example, when we got off the plane, we rented a house. The first year we had to pay $30,000.
That's crazy.
Just in rent.
Yeah, you can actually have through complete housing. We can get something.
A 2-bedroom.
For
about that price.
For that kind of money.
Yeah.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's where you guys come in. Anyway, we'll get to
that. So that's great. So, talk to me about your vision. Let's talk into the future. In the next 10 to 15 years, what do you want to see CICE Properties accomplish, and what do you want the image of CICE Properties to be in Ghana?
All right. So we want to be known as an ethical company.
I like that.
So before profit, before any of that, we want to know that we want the folks up there to see us as a company who is building quality, affordable houses. When I say quality, we pay attention to detail. We're not going to tolerate any sloppy workmanship. I mentioned about damp. My builder will tell you, I said to her, look, we need to make sure that we have, in the eastern region, you're probably not going to have any flooding. It's almost impossible. We know that Accra floods. So there's a big problem in Accra. But we want to be proactive. We want to make sure that the house is structurally sound. We employ structural engineers. We employ architects to make sure everything is done correctly. So it's now for the builders. We have to obviously watch and make sure that everything is done correctly. So we want to be known that we building quality houses as a company. Also, that when I say ethical, we look after our staff. That's for us. That's the most important. You know, we have to make sure we pay our staff a living wage. In the UK, we have something called a living wage or livable wage, right? we can't. I cannot sleep at night and pay somebody 700 CDs. It's not in me, right?
I mean, let me just comment. I hope for the people out there who are definitely looking for some good jobs, definitely reach out. You know, and you know, to hear Mr. Errol just sound this way, it speaks great volume of what he's about and what their company is about. And for the people out there who are looking for jobs, especially in the real estate and construction world, we'll definitely leave his contact, you know, and you can reach out to him and make sure that you're qualified, because you know they joke like that. All right, we're back to exactly.
So one thing we really try to do here is give advice to entrepreneurs who may be starting out, maybe in the middle of their journey, or they're thinking about entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Your core principles, your top 3 foundational principles for entrepreneurship. What are they? Give us a breakdown.
It's probably more than 3. But
I didn't want to overwhelm you, but you can go to 5 if you need to.
yeah. So one of the questions the first question I would ask is, you want to become an entrepreneur, right? You might have an idea, but I would start off by saying, is there a hobby that you have right now that you can use to turn it into a business? And why I say that is because if you have a hobby, it means that you love it. You love doing whatever it is, whether it be, for example, I don't know, stamp collecting. You might love stamp collecting. Right?
Okay.
As an example, I don't know if people do that now. That
Okay.
was back in my day.
Okay.
But I'm just giving an example. Right? And you might say, oh, you know what? Yeah, I can turn this into a business. I can
Okay.
make some money, you know, from this. Or
Okay.
somebody might like, I don't know, animals.
Okay.
You know, you can do dog training or whatever. The whole point behind what I'm saying is, it is better that you go in it thinking, I want to do it because I love it, rather than going it to just earn money. Yes, the bottom line is you want to earn a living.
Okay.
But if you don't love it and you get to hard times, you're going to be one of these statistics where your business is one of the 50% of businesses that failed in the first 5 years. Yeah. I mean, my business has been going on for 10 years. Right?
That's really cool.
There were many hard times that came, many difficult times that came. But if I didn't love it, if I didn't enjoy doing the job, you know, I would not be here, you know, saying that, you know, I'm doing this telecoms business.
Wow.
Because it's very high pressure. It's
Okay.
a high pressure job.
Okay.
You have some service provider whose system goes down,
Okay.
and none of their customers can make calls, and they're calling you like, you know, you need to fix this thing now because my customers can't make calls. I'm losing, I can lose these customers.
Okay.
You know? So
Okay.
it's very high pressure. Sometimes you can get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning
Wow.
from
Wow.
Australia.
Oh
Say,
wow.
oh, my system is down. Customers can't make calls. So you got to rub your eyes quickly and get that sleep out your eye and get to work.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
it doesn't happen very often, but it
Okay.
does happen.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So
So
start
I'm
with your
just saying, if you don't like, if you're going into business just for the sake of making money, you probably won't last very long.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
You
That's
gotta love the job. You gotta love it, whatever it is that you decide to do. You might be a seamstress. You might want to scale up. You know, you might be, you know, like making clothes or interior designing or whatever. You want, you know, you love it, so you want to be able to scale it up, but you got to be able to stand it in the bad times. There will be bad times. Every business has bad times.
Right. Inevitable.
You know.
Yeah.
So
number 1, start with something you love.
yeah.
So that you can stick with it through the hard times.
Yes.
That's principle number 1.
Yes.
And we'll,
So, secondly, I would say to get a business plan. You know, you don't have you might not need to borrow money. Right? You know, Benjamin Franklin once said that if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Right?
Fantastic.
So it doesn't need to be 10-page business plan, but at least the basics. You know?
we don't like business plans in
I
Ghana.
know. Many of us don't. You know?
But this is good. Business plan. I
if
mean,
you
this
fail to plan, you plan to fail.
that's a good one.
That's number 2. Principle number 2.
All right.
Plan things out. Slow down, take your time, plan it out.
Yeah.
Number 3.
So the third one, it goes. I would say if it is a business where you're going to be employing staff, right? Remember that if you don't treat your staff well, they're going to steal from you. You're not going to have the loyalty. So for me, that is important. You need to treat your staff well. Right? Look after your staff. They look after you. Right? You know, there's a saying we have in the UK. I don't know if you have it in Ghana. Don't bite your hand that feed you. Right? So if if you have a staff and you're treating them well, I don't know the culture here in Canada, but chances are they're not going to bite your hand because you're feeding them. You're looking after them. Because for example, if the standard salary here is 700 cedis a month, and let's say for argument's sake you're paying them 800, right? They know that if they leave you to go somewhere else to work, they're not going to get 800. Easy, they're going to get 7. Right? So look after give them a little bit more than the normal amount, right?
Right.
If you kind of, I know a new business starting out, it can be difficult.
Yeah.
But you want your staff to be on your side. You don't want. I heard a lot of horror stories of staff stealing. There's some companies here in Ghana that do not let Ghanaians handle cash. True. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because I don't trust them.
True.
That is a bad reputation to have. So, okay, it will take some time to change the way how things work here in Ghana. But everybody do their little bit, Everybody do their little part. So
I start with a hobby or a passion. Do something you love, so that when the hard times come, you love it enough to stick with it.
Exactly.
Number 2. Make a plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Number 3, treat your people right, so your people treat you right.
That's a really good one.
That's a bonus one.
It's probably not the norm
I mean,
that anybody asking for advice to give a new entrepreneur would give. But those are for me, because for me, my staff and loyalty is important. Because if you have a staff and they work with you for 6 months, and they leave because you're not treating them right, you have to now
Train
spend
somebody
time
else.
to retrain another person.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, what you're saying is very key, especially, even with my small business that I was doing, it was something where, I paid attention to. I even went as far to pay my workers per day, which a lot of people were not even doing, especially in my industry. So I remember when I even went to a place, I told them they should look at doing. And the truth is, if you actually do that, because with the food industry, you make money every day. So you just take it out. By the end of the month, you've actually sorted out, paying your worker really quite well. So I remember at some point in time, I used to pay my workers for working for like 4 hours, like around 30, 40 cedis. Some could make like 50 cedis. Some could even make like 100 cedis. And the truth is, they felt really comfortable. So this is a very psychological way where especially a lot of Ghanaian entrepreneurs need to learn from. And this is why you realize the diasporan companies do so well. They really do so well when they come in, because they pay and we are loyal like that, so irrespective of how you see it, because nobody will do that for us. So once we realize that we have a good company that is taking care of us, and we know that the other companies won't, we're going to be very loyal. But definitely to come to end with, definitely complete housing is something where, we've been talking a lot about ethics. And personally, I've learned a lot, especially ever since the incorporation of this company. How did you hear about Complete Housing, though?
Through my friends at the Coconut Grove group. There was a group. We have a group. My dear friend, sister, Jackie London.
Okay. Hey, Miss London. How you doing?
That's how I heard about you guys. And I thought it was a wonderful concept that you guys are bringing to the table. Unfortunately, the majority of Ghanaians, they are sold on this brick and mortar adventure. But I like the idea that, because nowadays speed is important, because you go and build a brick and mortar house, the rain falls, nobody, people don't turn up for work.
You can't work.
True.
Because it's all about time, right? You want to finish the house in 6 months, the rain falls, guys don't turn up for work. But I like the idea of your method of, I would call it prefabricated houses. You can build it in a factory and come and assemble it on site. Right? It's much faster. It's a lot less labor intensive on site.
Okay.
So I like that concept, and it's much cheaper as well.
Definitely. I mean, for you, you've had the opportunity to, of course, meet the owners.
Yeah.
I mean, and now it looks like there's a partnership that is definitely, installed in relation to CICE Properties. I mean, futuristically, what's the plan between Complete House and CICE Properties? I mean, what should Ghanaians expect? And, especially, recognize that this is, especially since you are very much into affordable quality housing, tell the people how well this would actually help a lot, especially even for the diaspora community.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, my experience of coming here, getting off the plane, and having to find $30,000 to pay rent for 1 year. Because in Ghana, you have to pay the rent 1 year in advance.
True.
They don't play.
True.
So I see complete housing as, for many of us diasporans who might not come off the plane with a suitcase full of money, like Ghanaians think, A lot of Ghanaians think that we jump off the plane with a suitcase full of money, but they don't realize how hard and difficult we have to work to obtain our money. So we have our own struggles in the West as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ghanaians have the struggles here. Ours might not be because of the pay that we get in the country. It could be because of the taxes that we are being taxed.
Okay.
The
Okay.
cost of living, affordability, because yes, we might get paid a lot, but a lot of it goes in taxes, high food costs, high motoring costs. There's different costs that we have. So we have a different struggle.
Okay.
To the Ghanaians. So complete housing will kind of help us to fill that gap, because it is a passion. I see people here living in kiosks, and I mean, I know that they might not be able to afford the sort of rent that we are talking about, but there's people working class, somebody working in a bank or whatever. We can build a house that we can afford to rent. That person can afford to rent. Based on your model.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, Mr. Samuels, we want to thank you for coming. We know you're a busy man. You're an entrepreneur. You have multiple companies. So you taking the time to come here and chat with us and provide free consultation to the people.
Exactly.
I hope everyone watching will really appreciate it as much as we have. Let people know where they can find you, where they can get in touch with you if they're interested in properties or land or anything.
All right. So I guess thank you guys for having me as well. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I need to do more of these actually. It's very nice. Yeah. I need to do more. So the easiest way to get a hold of me would be to email office@cicepropertiesgh.com.
Okay.
If I tell them my name, they won't be. Ghanaians somehow can't spell Errol. They spell it Errol, all different ways. So I thought the best way to do is just email office
Okay.
at ciceproperties.com.
So office at CICE, CICE
Yeah.
properties.com.
Yes.
.com.
GH.
Propertiesgh.com.
Yeah.
Office at CICEpropertiesgh.com. So
Yeah.
shoot him an email, Mr. Errol Samuels.
Is it a contact? I mean, a contact.
Mobile?
A mobile contact.
Or you
I
want to
don't
just
know
keep the
off the top of my
people. You want to keep the people at email at first.
Yes.
And everyone who's
Okay.
watching the
Yes.
YouTube video.
Okay.
Any last words? Any closing remarks?
Yeah. So I mean, this is for the diaspora really. I don't want them to be put off coming to Ghana, because initially the corruption put me off from coming to Ghana first. Right? So we decided to go to Rwanda, which was less corrupt.
Okay.
Or virtually zero corruption. But
Okay.
like I said, there's corruption in every country, but
Okay.
it's not as prevalent as in Ghana.
Okay.
And then after 9 months, you realize, I have some beautiful friends. I made beautiful friends in Rwanda, and I will go back there, sometime to visit. But in terms of here, Ghana is my ancestral home, and I feel at home here. The culture is very similar to what we experience in the Caribbean, So, and there's wonderful business opportunities in Ghana. So don't be put off.
Yeah.
Any way that I can help, I would help.
Yeah.
Anybody coming over, because we we have an organization called Diaspora HQ,
Okay.
which we are trying to launch
Okay.
to help diasporans come. Because we don't want people coming here and then having to. It breaks my heart when I hear diasporans are leaving. You know, it really does.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand why they're leaving.
Okay.
Because they have to earn. It is prohibitive to set up a business here with the current policies. It's very difficult to set up a business here.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, you know, they're leaving. Sometimes they go away for a few months to come back.
Okay.
Some of them go away, end up being away for 1 year.
Okay.
But they really want to be here. But it's because of the way how the business policy is structured is difficult.
It's difficult.
Yes, to start here.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, you know, we talk about the challenges, but we're also here for the opportunities. You know, business is the art of solving problems at scale. And where there are problems, there are opportunities for entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
So that's why we all want to take time out of our schedule to bring you this content, and we want to bring you as much content as we possibly can. So like, subscribe, keep the conversation flowing in the comment section down below. We'll be in there responding to your comments. Thank you all for watching. Until next time.